Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. Today I'm bringing to you my next video in the pros and cons series in which I'm going to discuss some of the pros and cons of non-fiction books. If you'd like to check out my other pros and cons videos, the playlist is linked up in the iCard and down in the description. You can check it out if you want to. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. As usual, starting with the positive side, the first pro which I consider when it comes to non-fiction books is that they help you improve your general knowledge. Okay, if you're a person like me, I'm sure that this will be the most advantageous thing when it comes to reading non-fiction books, because there are people like me who don't like watching news or reading newspapers or going through magazines or any such stuff like that. And also, I'm a person who doesn't have that much of a healthy social circle. Okay, I don't connect with a lot of people in person, so I don't get some of the current affairs that are going on around me. But when it comes to reading non-fiction books, it is very highly likely that when you keep yourself updated on the latest non-fiction books that are being released, and when you keep on reading them, your general knowledge will automatically improve even without your own knowledge. And I think that's one of the main advantages when it comes to reading non-fiction books, because I have noticed myself knowing certain things which I might have not known if I hadn't read certain non-fiction books, and it has proved very useful for me in my life. The next important pro is that while reading non-fiction books, any type of non-fiction books, they automatically increase your analytical capacity as a human being. Okay, all of us we face a lot of different obstacles in our life while setting up goals. If you're a person who works with setting goals, I'm sure that you will have the knowledge that in order to attain any goal, there will be multiple obstacles in between the destination and your starting point. And while you read non-fiction books, they help you analyze those obstacles properly so that you can find a way around those obstacles or to get through them in order to accomplish your goals. I've found I've realized myself doing certain things because of the things that I've read in non-fiction books, because I usually schedule my time in a proper way. But after this pandemic started, ever since I've started working from home, the managing time has been a big struggle for me, and I started reading some books on time management, and it has helped me a lot because I'm able to schedule the 16 hours of time which I get, except during the time which I sleep, into proper chunks, and it has been proved to be very productive and useful for me. And I can say that I'm very much happy in the way that I'm using my time, and one of the main reasons behind that is that me reading non-fiction books. The third pro is the one which I consider is the most important when it comes to non-fiction books, and it is that most of the non-fiction books are objective in nature and they are very, very less subjective. Okay, I'm saying this mainly because in any genre or category of books there are obvious exceptions, and I'm saying this just as a common thread that runs between most of the non-fiction books that I have read, and it is that they are always objective. Being objective is something that everyone in a society can agree upon on a common basis, but being subjective is something which is based on an individual's opinion. Okay, while you're writing a non-fiction book, it means that it has to develop some aspect of someone's life in one way or the other. It's not non-fiction books are not something that we read for pleasure or just in our leisure time. It is non-fiction books are those which we read in order to improve ourselves, and if I spend like 10 to 15 minutes reading a non-fiction book, I must be able to make up that 10 to 15 minutes at least like 100 times in my future. That's how good non-fiction books need to be, and I think most of the non-fiction books do it in a proper way because they are objective more than being subjective. The fourth important pro is something that is very specific, not to all non-fiction books but to biographies and memoirs in general, and it is that they are very much inspirational in nature. Okay, usually what we do is when we are let down in a mental way, if we go down in our mental state, then we look for inspiration from people around us, that is from people whom we love and consider to be a part of our lives. They can be family, they can be siblings, they can be relatives, they can be anyone around your social circle or any person in your social circle. But during times like these, when we are all in the same mental state, we cannot expect a person who's just around us to be inspirational in any way, because all of us are going through the same thing and we are all traveling the same boat. And this pandemic, if you ask me, has put on a great deal of mental pressure on everyone. Though we accept it or not, some people might realize that they are under mental pressure, and some people might not, and they might just be struggling with it alone. But I'm sure that everyone is handling it pretty well, if you ask me. And during times like these, it's not possible to get inspiration from people who just live around you in the same situation that you are. And books like these, that is non-fiction books that are memoirs and biographies or autobiographies, they just provide a lot of inspiration. And I have taken inspiration from multiple biographies and memoirs that I have read. And I should say, this is just a small recommendation from my side. While I read Becoming for the first time last year, I read it last year in November. After finishing that book, it just gave me a sense of hope. Okay, it was nothing that how to say, my way of life is nothing that was said in nothing like that was said in that, but just hearing or listening to or reading such a inspirational story, it can lift up your mental mood and try to set you on the right track that you want to be. And I think that inspiration is one of the main things which I consider when it comes to reading non-fiction books. The last pro that I consider when it comes to reading non-fiction books is that we have a lot of specifically targeted niches when it comes to non-fiction. For example, if we are reading fiction books, there are just multiple genres within which we can select, but each and every genre inside fiction just has a lot of subgenres. In the same way, non-fiction as a genre also has different varieties of books piled around beside it. And if we just know how to categorize these different types of self-help books, different types of non-fiction books, for example, memoirs, as I said before in the previous pro, self-help books, self-development books, self-finance books, all these are specific niches. And if you're focusing to attain certain things in specific in your life, setting a goal and reading books related to that can very immensely help you achieve that thing. And I have experienced that in many ways. As I said before, I was struggling a lot with maintaining my time after the pandemic started, but I just gave myself some time. I took a month and I tried to study some techniques in which I can group and schedule my time so that I don't waste it in any way. And after reading certain books which were related to time management and putting into practice some of the things which I learned from them, I can say that I'm making a huge load of use out of my time, and I'm not wasting it to such an extent. So if you're looking for specifically targeted niches, then reading non-fiction books of that particular niche can immensely help you. Now moving on to the cons. The first main con when it comes to reading non-fiction books, according to me, is that at times non-fiction books can become so preachy. Okay, for example, now I read The Power of Your Subconscious Mind in the month of August. It was a time during which I was not in such a great mental state and I wanted something positive to read. And I've heard from my friends and people in my reader circle that that's a book which is really good and it can give you hope and positivity in a great scale. And when I read that, I was able to feel all the positive vibes it was giving me, and it was really helpful at that time. I'm not at all saying that it's not a good book in any way. I just loved the experience of reading it. I read it slowly and absorbed everything that I said as much as I could. But towards the end, for like the last 20 to 30 pages of the book, it was like way too preachy for me. Okay, it's highly possible that the things that are said in those 20 to 30 pages, last 20 to 30 pages, can also easily happen in anyone's life if they practice them with 100% effort, belief and trust. But that's the thing which I fear when it comes to reading non-fiction books, is that at times they can become so preachy such that you just don't want to read it anymore. The next con when it comes to reading non-fiction is that they are not relatable in most ways. Okay, I'm a person who reads a lot of fiction books. If you've been following me for a while, you know that quite well right now. And it's mainly because I read books in order to learn about different characters, because the characters that we see in fiction stories or books in general are reflections of the original people or original personalities that are existing in this world. I'm a person who doesn't engage a lot talking with different kinds of people. I just interact with the people who are inside my social circle, and I'm not a person who can easily talk with people. Okay, I can talk in front of a crowd, but talking to a specific person individually is a bit tough for me at times. And this is one of the ways which I use in order to understand people, because these characters are just reflections of other people. And also, while I'm reading certain books, the things which relate connect me with fiction are that there are certain things which are going on inside the story, or there are certain characters in the story to which I relate to some extent. The situations might be something like, this has happened to me in my life in the past, or the characters might be in such a way that this character has a little chunk of me that makes it whole. There are certain things which just relate me with that story and relate with me with those books in an easy way. But when it comes to reading non-fiction books, it's not that easy for me, because it generally talks about techniques, methods and certain ideologies. those are things which we cannot relate with easily, and that's the main con for me. The last con when it comes to non-fiction books is that sometimes, or most of the times, non-fiction books just read like textbooks, and as a result of this they are just plain boring. Okay, I have come across certain non-fiction books, self-help books in general, which just don't make you feel related to it in any way. It's just like you're attending a lecture in which there's just this speaker talking to him or herself, and you're just sitting there listening to it. It doesn't resonate with you in any way, and it just seems like someone's dictating stuff in rather than just telling you or trying to help you in any way. Obviously it's self-help, you're going to read and understand and help yourself in some way or the other, but at times it just becomes so boring that it feels like reading a textbook rather than reading a non-fiction book, which can actually help us in some way in our life. That's all for today, and do let me know down in the comments whether you agree or disagree with any of the points that I said in this video. And if you did enjoy watching this video, don't forget to give it a big fat thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel because I publish new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.